All right. This is Dan Max at eXp Realty, aka the Trading Agent. This is your live market chat for Thursday, August 8th, 2024. Interesting week. Volatility spiked early on. Now we've been chopping around. Talked about trading your levels, managing your positions, doing all of the little things to make sure that you win. Now, I know a lot of folks struggle with volatility. Trust me, it's not easy. It's a learned type of market to get involved in. And, a lot of people have this idea that the markets do this, the markets do that, and you don't really know until you've lived it. And I don't think a lot of people by nature typically see multiple cycles of high volatility. And so they kind of get comfortable with what typically works when things work. And so it's interesting, Stock Traders Almanac. Next week we've got options expiration. Typically the end of August can be pretty downside. And again, as we talked about, heading down. And one of the things that I talked about last week and even early this week that, is it possible that the market chops around? That's kind of been my thinking here. And as much as I'd like to say that I think there's a ton of more downside, 1,000%. I definitely think there is. It's just not going to be as simple. It might chop around into the options expiration next week. And so that's where that's why we talk about levels. Levels matter, right? Because the market can be going up, down, indifferent, whatever. And stocks are going to be trading based on their levels, the action, the VAP zones, all these little things. And so if you're aware of all that, it helps you see the market for what it is. And so, again, we can go into some of those trades and some of those ideas, and let's just do that. And so, again, if you're new to the channel, check out the Discord room, link in the description below. Again, always posting all this stuff all over Twitter, trying to keep you guys informed. If you have any questions about real estate, again, I would take it personal. If you've been following the channel, paying attention, and you've heard multiple videos and you have not reached out, if you have any idea or any insights about potentially buying, selling, or investing in real estate, love to get involved, help you out, give you some insight. And again, and not just real estate, trading. I'm amazed. Like everybody who's I've talked to, I've seen amazing growth from. And again, not that I know everything, but it's one of those things where, knowledge shared, knowledge gained helps me. When the student becomes a teacher becomes a student, you learn more, and again, it helps me reflect on things. Again, I appreciate all the love and support and the generous donations. You guys are awesome. Also, again, check out the Back to Basics education series on the YouTube site, recommended reading, all the little fun things on the website. Worth checking out. And again, I appreciate it. Hit the notification bell because then you'll know when we do go live. You will get the ring-a-ding-ding-ding-ding-a-ling. And also, too, again, like, subscribe, notification bell, share. I appreciate it. So we know, and let me just start with this because we know that the September meeting, there's going to be cuts. It's just how deep, how many. And this is going to fluctuate, but somewhere around the 50% range, I guess, with the VIX in the 20s. If it gets the VIX down the teens, I would give that. It's only going to be a quarter rate. And so at this point, as we've talked about, if the market is going to get hairy, scary, whatever you want to call it, then the odds of a rate cut of 50 basis points increases. So just keep it simple, right? So the trades I'm looking at. TLT. Again, we've talked about this. Nice trade, UBT, pulling back. Thought trend line, maybe 95s, talked about that, 94s. Okay, cool. Now I'm a little more aggressive adding, right? It makes sense. Like the bigger the pullback, the more I will pull the trigger on. And again, define your risk. And somebody, if Joe's listening to this, talks about this. Say you buy the UBT at 19. It runs up to whatever it got to, 22? You start... Again, if you add a little bit, your cost basis, right? And so now you have to look at the overall cost basis and you say in your mind, where's my stop? Oh, hey, homie, cool. Cool. So let's go over the UBT, right? So if you bought it down in here, you sold some, and now the more it drops, the more you're adding back. So say you sold half, for example, right? You're buying maybe a quarter of that back here and then another quarter. Now your new stop, probably around this 200-day, 50-day area, somewhere around the mid-19s. Now, do I even want to give that tight of them? You could. It just depends on if you want to swing this and how aggressive you want to be. That's the kind of the mindset behind it. And it's not and this is what I think is so hard is you want to make hard and fast rules, right? I think our brains really respond to logic of, of this is what it is and this is what I'll do. And it's almost like you become a computer and you start observing, and it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And so if you're watching the TLT, again, this is where if you even, and you could tighten up the stops really tight here if you wanted to, because you're like, you know what, if I get kicked out, I'll just go to another trade. And so that it becomes kind of a preference thing. I hope that makes sense. It's not as always cut and dry. It's like, how comfortable are you with this? And again, in my mind, I think bonds are pretty safe here, because if things get worse, people are going to be piling into them, right? Now, if it was like a certain tech trade or a certain company, that's where it can be a little more nerve-wracking. I hope that makes sense. Trades also, again, here are the other trades we're watching. Apple taking some shorts up here, right? Makes sense. 50-day, all these collaborating, top of the range. Keep it simple. Stupid. Started eyeing Taiwan semi, because I think this one is another one that's really easy. Again, I don't know if we have to get to the 20-day, but it's possible, right? So if you want to start looking at shorts at 163, 164, 61.5, I mean, again, I don't know what the right number is. Again, this is why I tell folks, like, if you've been learning your trade, you know that you can't nail exact tops and bottoms to a price point. You can look at the intraday 10-minute candles, really get focused on that. Here, I'll pull up some like 10-minute stuff. We're back to these multi-day range highs. Well, at this point, I'm not really seeing anything that says, the volume is incredibly light. And so this is the thing. If the market keeps drifting higher, it wouldn't surprise me if you get up into this, And this is where, if you want to start, and again, I'll keep this in the background. If I see a candle formation that makes sense, I'll pull it back, maybe talk about entering the trade. But at this point, like I said, let me lock this sucker up. No symbol link. Boom. Okay, so it's locked up. It should be when I change. Doesn't change. Okay, cool. Yep, that's when I'm keeping an eye on. Again, a lot of people were watching the XLF, right? FAS anywhere in the 9s, 10s. Okay. This is what gets really difficult about the summer. And again, I apologize if it seems like there's so many variables, but everyone's looking for certainty, and that's what's so hard here. And summer can be light volume. Talked about potentially could chop around. All right, well, probably yesterday makes sense. I don't know where the XLF top would be today, but watching the KRE, it's got nothing. Again, just kind of a inside candle day. We talked about the IWM, right? Just inside candle day. So it doesn't give me anything here where I go, oh, this looks amazingly strong. This is great. And I think this is, no, it just kind of goes to show you it's just biding time. I don't know if we're waiting for a headline, waiting for the market makers to unload. You tell me. Again, that's the thing. You can create your own narratives. Caterpillar, a good trade. Jay Solstice, if you're listening here, he's watching this one, 50-day. He played that yesterday. Again, velocity begets velocity. If it holds here, this one's where it gets a little tricky. If it holds here, I don't know where you could trap out at, because sometimes you just get wicks, right? Where's the wick, right? And that's where you'd have to probably watch the 10-minute to see where it like blows out. You could say 338, you could say 335. It's not an exact science, especially with lighter volume in the summer. Kind of watching these ag names, right? Like big volume there, taking out new lows. Man, I at some point, I think the volume down here will hold these. I just don't know if we're going to get absolutely kicked in the teeth. We'll see what happens here. Some of these names just look very juicy. Gold, talked about the dollar. I'm watching the dollar as well, noticing the dollar's candle formation. I don't think this is going to end well, like today for the dollar. That candle is looks like yesterday's market candle. Like wick gets below the open and just starts melting back. I wouldn't be surprised if we got down here. How's that affect gold and silver? They seem to be getting a little pumped today. Okay. Just again, do you want to trade that? It's really your choice. SMCI said somewhere in the 400 handle was coming. I think we should get a little lower, but this is where it's hard, right? This is like where you can get some like intraday candles where they just counter the trend, and clearly it's fugly. It's rather fugly. So just let it play out. Got some like watching Meta. Would really love to see test of the 510 area. Microsoft, watching this one a little bit. Really like to get a little higher, but the 200-day seems to be tripping it up. Tesla, again, just kind of going through them all. Watching the 200-day. AMD, I mean, we talked about these names being oversold, but they just look like shit. So they look like they're chopping around. And that's where, again, if Taiwan Semi's like leading up, do they rip into this one at some point? Right? I mean, I have a strong opinion. Let's look at that 1.618 failure. I mean, they manufacture all these chips. If chips all of a sudden pricing comes down, there's a glut. I mean, they're going to get many a phone calls of we don't want it anymore. And so again, that's where drawing the fibs, 50% fib in this area. So keep an eye on it. Again, I have that on the hourly. Just keep an eye on that. Because again, this is what I tell folks, if you want to draw fibs on like trend moves that you think might, because again, this looks like a bottom near term, right? Big gap down, not a big down, big move, capitulates, rally back, right? That to me says this is the trend downturn needs some backfilling, right? And so 50, 618 could all play. Like, look how it always plays out, man. These things, the fibs just don't lie. They know the spot. So the 50 would be the next one. And we're basically there. So keep an eye on that one. Kind of just bouncing around. I'm looking at Costco again. I mean, Costco just, it's been a beast. 50-day, right? I mean, looking at that, I know some folks are looking at FedEx. That makes sense to me. Again, this is a confirmed head and shoulders. Like, here's your trap, right shoulder, and kapow. All right, 50-day. I mean, you zoom out, like, economic activity is not that good. I mean, at some point we will get down to this channel low. There's zero doubt in my mind. It's just whether it's going to get there quickly, slowly, tomorrow, next week, next month, right? Oil and gas kind of all playing out as we thought. I mean, not surprised XOP hits this, like 128 area, bounces, right? Bounces. And this is where, again, when the VIX is in the 20s, there's great opportunities for all sorts of fun trades. Like McDonald's, 200-day. I mean, you still have like 4-day range here. Kind of eyeing Taiwan Semi in the 10 minutes. Just the candles are so tight here. But no volume. But Airbnb, are you surprised it bounced? Like, everybody was talking about how much they hate it, how it's just trash, which again, no one's going to disagree with that. I think they're going to be struggling. But decent little volume down here, due for an oversold bounce. I mean, you did not get the 618, which is interesting. But look where it held, though, right? What is this fib from? Where is it? Yeah, it's interesting how these old fibs, man. I don't know. Sometimes you leave them up there. Even though the move went to here. So I'm just curious if this is like a 5 now. No. Just drawing for fun. Okay. New 0.618 could be resistance. Just worth an eyeball. Keep an eyeball on it. Let's get into the indexes, because this is where it gets a little funny, right? SPY. Here you go. 100-day coming. Should be coming. Now, again, could it topped just in the last, I don't know, little bit? That's where it's tough. Like, again, I wish it was always easy. And that's the thing, wish. And this is where my coaches, the people I learned from, said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Right? Okay, well, I mean, this should be a reference here, 528.54, right? Just keep an eye on all this stuff. Qs. Look at this bounce, right? These are where, if you have the ability to just wait, have patience, let stuff come to you, it just, man, you feel very comfortable. I don't know, again, I think this is a mindset shift where I just tell you, like, you're just so comfortable. You're not feeling like you're rushing and chasing and acting. It's kind of like what when you get to the right mindset for this, it's like shopping comfortably. It's like going to the store and going, well, what's seasonal today? What's good? What looks fresh? What looks, what do I want to make tonight? Right? And if you're not much of a cooker, then just think about just in general, like, would you go to the grocery store and if the fish looked bad, would you buy it? And you take it home, try to eat it, and you're like, ugh. And it might not be the best analogy, but it's the same thing. Like, if you chase into trades, you have like that instant regret. Like, should I have done that? Why am I doing that? Ugh. And I think that's something that comes with experience. Like, you have to just shop and lose, right? JPMO up here. I mean, this stuff makes sense all in these areas. Bank of America, I know Buffett can't sell fast enough. Just just looking at all this stuff, kind of as thinking about it. I know the housing index is not going to look, it's just not catching a bid here. Again, this feels like another market that's going to fade. Why is it up? I don't know. Some of the semis are popping, some tech's catching a little bit. Again, if you're watching Apple, perfect, right? Let it turn into like a wick of the top end over the open gap up. I mean, this is like some really good setups. So again, any questions, thoughts, concerns? Because again, I can wrap this up, and this is for you guys. This is for Wu-Tang is for the children, as they say. It's for you guys, ask questions. Let me know what you're thinking. Again, real estate is hard, y'all, right now. And when I say hard, it's not like hard for if you list it correctly, but I know a lot of folks who are throwing listings out there and they are just getting pounded. They're not doing a lot of marketing. They're trying to skimp out on commissions because the new rules. They're like, oh, I don't want to pay a buyer's agent. It's like, okay, well, folks are working with buyer's agents, and not every person wants to shop online. And the information and the ability to talk to the agent, they want someone to negotiate for them. I mean, there's such value in buyer's agents, but the whole perception is that there is none, which that's fine. I mean, you live and you learn. And just again, if you're a seller and you're not offering a buyer's agent commission, then your pool of buyers just shrinks. And the people working with buyer's agents typically have financing already in place. They already have their pre-approval letters. They already have all their stuff. That's why they show value. And so there's a lot of folks that are like, all right, well, I'm going to cut commissions out. And it's like, oof. It's almost like the timing of this. Is anything really a coincidence anymore? Carry low today, by the way. No. It's like this is only going to hurt the housing market near term. And so that's why I'm not surprised when house prices, if you're looking to shop, it's time to just, again, I tell folks, you don't have to necessarily pull the trigger. Just work with an agent, have your lined up, again, it's like sniper shooting. Like you got it, you got your gun to range. You already know the distance. It's just now you're looking through the scope trying to find the best properties that fit your either cash flow needs, your housing needs, familial needs, whatever you call it. So just kind of, looking around, letting things come. Don't come. They're going to Kamala Harris. And again, that's another thing. Speaking of, Harris and Welch leading in the bookies polls, which we talked about this. And again, I'm not going to pat myself on the back. I'm just going to say, like, I recognize this kind of crap all the time. Like, once Trump got what happened to him, there's only downside from there. Like, he was peaking too early, in my opinion. Whether you like him or not, again, this is about trading. The reality of it is, that was his max, like his lead. It can only fall from there. So, all right, any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Again, trying to like make this very simple for the longer term. Because if you are investing, in my opinion, for the long term, I've said this, please do not invest in tech. Please just don't. Look at commodities. That's your safest long lean. When there's a tech war, you have to build up this new infrastructure of green energy, AI, whatever you want to, however you want to describe it. That future is always going to need endless inputs. Without inputs, the stuff doesn't happen. And so you can pretend that the tech companies haven't priced in their future, or you can. And you go, okay, I know they have. And I'm not going to play in that field. It's like, you missed the move, and it's okay. It's really okay. Find the next one. And that's the thing. Multi-stage breakouts, right? Like looking at longer term moves, they take a while. And I tell people this, and if you're in the Discord room, you've read the notes, the straight line parabolic moves happen at the end of a move, not at the beginning, y'all. Think about it. Those stocks built up. I mean, look at AMD. It was like a double-digit stock at one point. Slowly builds. Gets up to 2 something. And now I hear folks going, oh, do this. I'm like, dude, you can't chase that. Look at the market cap, all the crap to it, right? And then it's like, okay, well, what are you going to do? It's just, you see the repeating patterns. It's like, do you really want to chase a stock that's up thousands of %? Okay, well, if you believe every stock you're going to buy is turning into Apple, you're ignorant. the reality that most stocks actually fail, or they have to pull back so much then they get bought out. If you didn't know that. All right, well, there's not much. Doesn't seem like, again, a decent amount of people listening, hanging out. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? Well, again, want to open up for you guys. I am here for you guys. Caterpillar hit that spot, looking good. Taiwan semi, chopping up here. Oh, man, it seems to be holding tight. We'll see. Again, if you want to start the trade, it makes sense to me. Apple, if we got it 213 plus, makes sense to me. Again, just do not be an all or nothing trader. I think that's the hardest part of trading, is that folks have like this ego mindset. They go, I'm going all in. So I hear you say go all in short here. No, yeah, exactly. All in. No, it's the probability-based trading, right? Like it's layering in, right? Layer in. That's how I look at, and I try to tell people, like, yeah, my ego, of course, wants to be right. Like, that's the thing you have to be careful of. Like, once you start realizing, like, no matter what, you don't know anything for sure. And so that's how you start your probability-based trading. Now, if you got a big whoosh and you get some big, like, blow-offs, yeah, can you be a little more aggressive, right? Capitulation, you see volume. Well, here's the thing, right? Here, I'll pull up Taiwan Semi. Could it just die a slow death of chop at the top? Right? Usually the tops and the lows have been in the AM. So, and here's, that's after hours. And try to find a good, like, example. That's all AM stuff. Not really seeing too much like intraday, but here's the thing. Here you go. Here's an example like of an intraday top, like just super light choppiness. And then now again, I'm expecting a bigger move than $2. But watch for the chop tops. We talked about all the different formations. Chop tops, blow off tops, lower highs, higher higher highs, equal highs, head and shoulders tops, traps, all the fun games. And that's where, again, if you're a probability-based trader, you're looking at the highs in your mind going, well, what could this be? Well, this doesn't really look like a blow-off top, right? It looks more of a chop top. So if it is, well, then what do? It's harder to be aggressive. And the time that I would more likely be aggressive is if it seems to be, here you go. This is an easy example. Seems to be riding this 8 period, right? Or is that the 10? No, it's an 8. Seems to be riding that, you know? If you want to play the blow off, or say you've got a 3 candle range here, say you want to short 163, then you need to see it break and close below the 8. That would be the key. Seems to have like this reoccurring ride up. Once it breaks it, now it acts as resistance. Does this make sense? You ride up on it, and then you ride down on it, or through it. I hope that makes sense. It doesn't have to be that difficult. I think there's so many people who, again, the ego, the desire to be right, desire to be perfect, the desire to always win, the desire, I mean, all these like internal wiring things that you bring to the market, which the market doesn't give a fuck about, right? Market doesn't care. Market don't care. And I think that's the hardest part, right? So many people here go, oh, I think it has to do this. And it's like, okay, no, it doesn't really. Sorry, I'm just tweaking something in the background. Pan W makes sense up here, fill in the gap. Velocity begets velocity, right? 283 up to 316. I mean, you could definitely make 10 points on that easy if it pulls back. Not a ton. Like, look at CF today. Again, CF we've talked about been the leader in this ag category. Right? Some of the other ones are closer to the not all time, but lower lows. This one seems to be holding up better. Maybe this could be a pro gap here. Do they have earnings today? No, Mosaic. Huh. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns? Again, here, let's go on Netflix real quick. Here you go. I mean, there's a lot of stocks in spots. Like, look at the 10-minute on Netflix too. That looks like a topping tail. Live trade. If you're interested in like what makes sense, that one could be easy. Oh, there it goes. Never mind. It's growing. Curious again. Looking at the Qs. 10, 10, 10, 10. Kind of just chopping around. You have 3 candles on the 10-minute, just kind of all piling together. Sorry, I didn't pull the Netflix one over. I was looking at another screen. Oh, man, every time I look at it, it seems to grow. All right, any other thoughts, concerns, questions? I appreciate all the love, support, y'all. I mean, let me know how I can help. Let me know. Again, because here's the thing, right? If you think you have it figured out, cool. Awesome. Chime in. I appreciate all the love, support. Again, I love when people have trade ideas. I don't mind it. I really don't. I don't have this ego where I think I'm only going to be right. No. Again, I don't take tips. Like, again, when someone goes, oh, I want to buy a stock because Buffett owns it or because, Gates owns it. I don't care about that. No, I don't. I like to look at stuff for what I think it is. XLF. Here again, 10-minute chart, XLF time. 20-period breaks. Adios. Taiwan semi, feeling very chop topish. Watch that 8-period. All right, I'm going to let it roll then. Appreciate all you guys. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Discord room, anyone in here? Nope, pretty quiet. It's the Thursday going into OpX next week. I mean, Fridays. Here, we'll just end it with this. I mean, the Fridays are pretty scary right now. So this is where at some point today, there's probably going to be some profit taking. And then tomorrow's action could be a little more, I don't know, you might see more follow through, especially if you're looking at like the overall indexes, right? Think about it. End it with this, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Right? We might be in the Monday, Friday sequence down, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, follow back. Can flip back in those sequences, but it's typically, right? So there's Friday. There's that Monday, chop around. Yeah, it's interesting. Sequencing can go Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Fridays. Very similar. Not always. Again, it's just worth watching. That would complete the next sequence, right? Down big, 3 days chop. I mean, even you could get chop on the 4th day. And then, so this is why the levels matter. It's a trader's market. Argue with me all you want. I don't care. It is a trader's market at this point, especially when the VIX gets higher. I don't think we'll be getting complacent. Some people say, oh, it's a good opportunity to get into the election. Well, again, buying opportunity. I don't think people feel very excited about the country's potential moving forward, especially if one party's leading versus the other. I mean, again, very polarizing. So, all right, I will see you guys in the Discord room. Peace.